The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Rosanne Ford, and I am the president of the Midstate Chamber of Commerce. And we welcome you to session 7 of the Lean into the Community webinar series titled How to Promote Your Business. I want to take this moment to thank Wendy Austin from WSI Healthy Digital Solutions, who really was so proactive and immediately called the Midstate Chamber of Commerce and offered to help coordinate this series, which we have been able to offer to our members and the business community as a whole. So Wendy is a new chamber member with us, and we are delighted and just very grateful for her taking the time to do all of this. Before we roll into this next series, I just want to take a very brief moment to invite all of you to visit www.midstatechamber.com. We do have a COVID resources for business page that we do update regularly with different links and things. Information is, as we all know, changing quickly, and so you can check there for some great information. And we also added a subpage to that, which includes recordings of webinars, including all of these. Wendy has put those out on YouTube, but there are additional recordings out there as well of ones that we have offered or that we have access to. So please, look to that for guidance and information, because the more informed we all are, the better we all are as we move forward in this new world that we're in. Also, check our Facebook page, and certainly reach out to us and email us if you want to sign up for our e-minders. We are doing some new things. We had our first virtual networking session, which was fun, and we also started a Facebook Live series where we're going and promoting our members. So we're doing some creative things as well to keep our members informed and connected and promoted. So with that, I will again welcome you to session 7. Today, we'll be talking about the different strategies of promoting your business, whether you've been open this whole time or closed. The role marketing plays and how to reach your customers is just as important today as it was before COVID-19. And today you'll hear from expert panelists about content creation, digital marketing, direct mailing, and print advertising. So we have 4 awesome presenters with us today. And first up is Wendy Austin from WSI Healthy Digital Solutions, and she'll be talking about marketing strategy and digital marketing. Take it away, Wendy.
Thank you, Rosanne. All right, so as Rosanne mentioned, I'm from WSI Healthy Digital Solutions. I'm located in Wallingford, Connecticut, and I joined the chamber in February. So this is somewhat my way of introducing myself to everyone at the chamber. And, we put together this webinar series to really help the local businesses. What I wanted to do with this particular discussion today is to talk about, all of us in the marketing field are relying on other businesses, right? So we want to help you to become strong, to come back strong, to really open up your doors again if you've been closed, or to open up services that you haven't been able to in a way that will really help to grow your business. It's kind of hard to talk about growing your business right now in the situation that we're in, but some of the strategies that we'll talk through today, I think you'll see that there's opportunities and options to grow. So if anyone's seen the ads today, a lot of them are, thanking the healthcare workers, thanking first responders, a lot of support in the advertising world, especially on television. You see it a bit in Facebook. I'm not going to tell you that that's what you should do. You know, there's never a one size fits all plan for marketing. And in fact, I think it's starting to become a little stale right now in terms of there's people that are getting a little turned off by so much promotion of how quote unquote companies care for you, when in fact the message is really, you know, hey, remember our brand, buy from us at the end of the day, right? So instead, I wanted to talk a bit about what you should be doing, what everyone should be thinking about, which is that, you know, none of us are going to go back to exactly the same thing that our businesses were before. You know, it's only been, you know, the beginning of March to the end of April so far, and there's such a dramatic change. I'm sure a lot of you created budgets and had goals and sales goals and marketing goals that you set at the beginning of the year. You know, it's different now. You know, what happened in January is not the reality right now. So, you know, it's almost as if you need to go back to the drawing board and relook at your marketing strategy. In fact, I would recommend that regardless of whether you're an established business or whether you're really new, you kind of think like a startup, have a startup mentality right now, because in this environment, we all need to be flexible, we all need to be nimble, we all need to pivot when we hear news from the governor. In fact, he just released this morning, you know, a phased approach to reopenings. And so we need to all look at that and understand what that means. A large part of marketing and marketing strategy is how you communicate and who are you communicating to. So, you know, looking at things like what the governor is saying, what the phased approach will be, you know, how are you going to reach out to your existing clients? How are you going to attract new clients? All of that is marketing. What is that communication going to look like? That's going to look different for every business. You know, what did work for you in the past may not work for you in the future. And so that's where the strategy part comes in. I think we all need to, you know, realign with today's new norm, rethink about what our business needs really are. How many people are we really trying to attract to our business? I know there's been a lot of lost revenue. I don't believe it's realistic to think that you're going to open up your doors and just suddenly be right back to where you were with the revenue amounts that you were anticipating. But I don't think that you should totally not think about what kind of revenue streams you could be getting right now. As I mentioned, really kind of going back to the drawing board and think of, you know, your business reopening as if it's a new business. You know, maybe there are different revenue streams that you can look at, different ways of promoting some of the services that you have, going digital with some of the services that you had. So that all goes to the marketing strategy, looking at, you know, what's happening today. That's discovery, setting up some goals with today's market in mind, budgeting what you do have. You know, every dollar that you have right now that you spend on marketing, you want to make sure that you're going to see some measure of success. So you want to make sure that you're budgeting in the appropriate things that you believe will actually bring clients in your door. Work out that strategy, start to implement that strategy. And then, of course, as you're going through and looking at your marketing, actually look at the results. If something's not working, then you need to pivot. You need to go to something else that potentially will work better for you. So that's the nimbleness and the flexibility. And I think, again, with that, you know, phased approach that we're going to see from the governor, we all don't know if there's going to be a second spike. And if that occurs, you need to be prepared. So a lot of what the strategy should be about is how are you going to prepare for potentially another shutdown, right? If you have any questions during any of this, please put them in the questions box and we will We will answer a lot of the questions at the end since we have so many people talking about marketing during this session. We're trying to keep it pretty short to what we're talking about so that we can, answer a lot of your questions at the end. So let me go back to what I primarily deal with, which is the digital marketing. I think everybody's aware that you should have a website right now, with everything being closed, with communications as they are, digital is by far the easiest to get communications out, whether that be through your website, whether that be through email campaigns to your current clients, social media. Social media is just skyrocketed right now. So any of those types of channels for marketing, we can talk about any of those if you have any interest or any questions around them. Again, I can't talk about one in particular because it depends on your businesses. Social media may be very good for certain types of businesses, but not necessarily good for, a different type of business where it wouldn't be appropriate for them to be in. And we can talk about different social channels as well. Let me just look at my notes. So again, I think from a marketing perspective and from what I like to do with my clients is to really kind of sit back and look at the environment that we have today, what their goals are, determine what they could do, start to budget for what they could do, and then start to go after the different marketing strategies and the different channels. All right, and so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Bob Carr, who will talk about the print and the direct mailing.
How you doing, everybody? Thanks, Wendy. I appreciate that. So Wendy was talking a little bit about digital advertising. There's multiple different ways you reach people through your digital channels: email, social media, targeted display ads. And one of the things that mail does well is it dovetails very nicely with any kind of marketing campaign that it features digital. So I went through showing, I think we're showing the Every Door Direct Mail slide coming up. And basically knowing your audience, understanding your audience, and this is helpful. So this is a 06451 zip code, and I've picked out 2 locations on that zip code that are carrier routes. This is all available through the U.S. Postal Service on the Every Door Direct Mail website. Go to the Every Door Direct Mail website, a map of the United States pops up. You type in a zip code, and then you can use your cursor to scroll over different carrier routes within the town or area, the region you live in. It goes by town and it goes by zip. So I've chosen 2 zip codes, 2 carrier routes very close to Hubbard Park. The one right below Hubbard Park in Meriden has an average income per household of $84,000. You can see it right there on that slide. And there's about 500 or so people living in that neighborhood, 500 households in that neighborhood, about 2.5 people per household. So it gives you basic demographic information. There's also a little item up there with ages. You can change the age range of how many people live there in a certain age range. We've left it at 25 to 44. Lower left, same basic information. Again, Every Door Direct Mail. Lower left, you have a different neighborhood, a different carrier route. Within that carrier route, the income range is around $71,000. And again, that basic demographic information is there. So if you have a small business and you are a consumer-based business, you want to know where your consumers are and what they look like and what their incomes are. So relatively easy way to find that out. So in between those 2 routes, I wanted to make this simple. There's another neighborhood. And in that neighborhood, in between the 2, the income range is around $118,000, about 450 houses in that particular carrier route. This is a really basic way to, if you're targeting a market through Facebook or through targeted digital advertising into IP addresses in neighborhoods, you can get a generic piece of mail that falls into that same neighborhood through the Every Door Direct Mail process, relatively inexpensive. and you have you're hitting everybody on their computers, hitting everyone in their mailboxes. That's just one way to market to a small audience. As we want to be a little more sophisticated and create a more sophisticated piece of mail, you can get more sophisticated data, better data, and you can define that data. And so thinking about your audience and who your audience is, I kind of chosen a home improvement kind of process here. You're a home improvement contractor, and you have you work on kitchens or bathrooms or roofs, driveways, landscaping, whatever it is. Taking Hubbard Park as a center point for it's right there on the screen, to a 10-mile radius. And you then can put in demographic information. You want how homes that are built before the year 2000. You want income levels of $150,000 or more. You want children at home up to age 12. And there's some reasons for this. So children at home up to age 12, that means you're more than likely staying in the school system. You're going to stay in your home. You're not quite thinking about college yet or paying for college yet. So you have maybe some discretionary income to put out there. A piece of mail can go directly to you with your name on it, with some basic information about the town. So if it's 10-mile radius, whether it's Southington or Cheshire or Meriden or some other town that might hit, or Wallingford, that piece of mail can actually stay in Southington and Cheshire, in Meriden and Wallingford, so that it's more specific to you and your home. That's a little more sophistication than the every door direct mail piece, and it's easily done. It's not that hard to do. Sticking with the same kind of theme, I want to just kind of step this up. You want to become more sophisticated. You want to really direct into someone's home. Again, you can easily do this through an IP address. Wendy can do it, sending a digital advertisement to your home. Now we pick something different. You are looking for people who own pools, backyard pools. So you've got a couple options. You have your in-ground pool, your above-ground pool. This data is all out there. It's relatively easily accessible. Within that data, you have two different kinds of pool systems, usually the chlorine or salt. So now we've got two different pool types, two different cleaning systems within the pools. And now you are a pool maintenance company, and you're hitting that, again, a higher demographic, higher income demographic, and saying to that person, you don't want to be cleaning your pool, you want to be using your pool. Let us do it for you. And in that copy can be a photograph of an in-ground pool or an above-ground pool. In the copy can also state a salt system or a chlorine system. Now you're being extremely targeted because the data is available either through town website, town information on what kind of pools on the property, through the kind of credit card usage in the past, all comes together, and you can really drill down and get that consumer understanding what they have in their home, and you're giving them a solution to a problem that they may have, which is having to clean their pool on a regular basis and not being able to use it as much as they'd like to do that. So that's a more sophisticated way of touching your mail. You have a couple of tips, some basic tips about any sort of direct mail. If you're using a postcard type of piece of direct mail, one of the things that we've learned in the print world, in the paper world, doing A/B testing, is that consumers respond better to heavier weight papers. So this is just a terminology, 120-pound cover. It is a weight of stock that is a little heavier. If you're looking to do a postcard drop to someone or to a location, think in terms of heavier paper weights, whether it's the letter inside the envelope, a little bit heavier, 100-pound text versus your basic 24-pound, which most people use. 100-pound, 20-pound cover, again, these are terminologies in printing, but I'm trying to point the point that the heavier weight, the more the consumer feels they're getting value. The other part of it is some sort of textile feel to it. People respond to print and mail, and printing specifically, because they're touching it and their brain is recording it. There's a science behind this called haptics. So you want to stick within the demographic information that's out there. Have it be tactile, have it be a little heavier. Size-wise, for a direct mail piece, 6x11 is perfect for a card. Fits very well into many different mailboxes. And so think in terms of what you're trying to achieve, how you're trying to achieve it, and how the recipient is going to respond to it. Last thing I wanted to point out, I know I'm going to throw this to Chris Powell in a second. Chris is a professional photographer. If you're putting photographic images on your printed pieces, take the time, spend a few dollars, and have a professional provide you with photographs. because when you try to print something off an iPhone or a poorly taken photograph, it shows up very much more in print than it does on your computer screen or your phone screen. Your computer screen and your phone screens are backlit. They take out a lot of errors that are in that photograph. When you print it on a sheet of paper, it looks a lot worse than it does on your screen. So a well-taken photograph by a professional is going to give you a much better visual, and it is your brand, and it should look as good as it can. And with that, I'll throw over to Chris.
All right, great. Thanks, Bob. Perfect segue, actually. So my name's Chris Powell. I'm sole proprietor of Christopher Powell Productions, and basically the quick pitch is I create content. So I've been in the creative field for over 25 years, and the past 3 to 4 years I've been working for myself, specifically focusing on photography and video production. So I create content for my clients, business, service, product that they can highlight and market online, on their website, and of course in print. So a lot, and Wendy, you go ahead and start scrolling through some of the pictures I put up. So a lot of what I do, I'm a one-man show. So I'm doing video production or photography for clients ranging from restaurants to big construction companies to, smaller businesses, lots of nonprofit type companies. I mean, you name it, I've touched it. When you talk about spending that little bit of money on professional photography, especially we just saw a picture of some food photography I've done. Restaurants is a perfect example, especially in this current time. A lot of these places are doing curbside. I've helped a couple restaurants, friends and clients of mine, taking pictures of the takeout food. One client did a Easter special. So we ordered, the Easter special for my family, and I took some pictures for them to help support and promote, what they're trying to do during this time. Food's a great example. A lot of restaurants and bars try to take their own pictures, put them on their social media. And it's tough. Food, you want your food to look appetizing. So doing it behind a dark bar or with a cell phone, sometimes it's doing the exact opposite. You're showing a picture of something that maybe isn't looking as appetizing purely because of just the way it's lit or where it was taken or how it was taken. Things I'd like to do and focus on are, more bang for your buck, a value. Because again, especially coming out of this this COVID situation where things have been locked down, you're going to want to start generating people coming again. So here's a couple things you can do. Currently, just stay active on social media. Now, granted, you may have to kind of do the pictures yourself. There are some clients I'm still doing video and pictures for, just purely based on large construction sites where social distancing is very easy. With restaurants, you could get takeout and get pictures taken, but it might be hard to bring a professional in to do it right now. But stay active with your followers. Show them what's going on. Explain maybe the specials you're doing. Are you doing curbside? Is your business open? Are you doing any sort of specials during this time of stay at home? Maybe be interactive with a game or showing special pictures. I've seen a lot of companies doing like guess the picture game or doing macro photography, which is just an extreme close-up of something, just something to interact and keep active with your following online. Another one is, maybe offer specials where you're buying a gift card or buying services now that can be provided later. I see a lot of that going on, and having the visuals to support that could go a long way. Sometimes the picture itself can do all the explanation, and you don't need to have a very copy-heavy type of performance. Something else when we start rolling out of this current situation and maybe your businesses are opening again, stay active, but start promoting those specials. Or what you're doing, what the plans are. Is it curbside? Is it takeout? Is it Is it a drive-through? You know, I have some friends who are in the law field, and they've actually set up almost a drive-through window scenario where documents and things can be done over the phone, and then you come to offices and they're just sliding papers to you. You're signing them and you're sliding them back. So, you know, promoting that visually can be done very easily. You know, show how your business is going to be trying to stay safe with maybe what's going to be the new normal when we're interacting with clients and customers. And then, of course, I think lastly, you know, thank all the people who are supporting your business in some way, whether it's with a special or a discount or just some visual thank yous. You know, because I know a lot of people are going out of their way to support businesses as best they can. So showing that appreciation could really go a long way when we start opening up our businesses again. And kind of with that, I think I'm going to push things to Chris LaTorraca from Good News Publishing, and he can get us up to speed on some of the mailing advertising he does.
Thank you very much. This is Chris LaTorraca from Good News Publishing. Our primary business is we publish a local magazine called the Hamden Journal, obviously here in Hamden, Connecticut. But you know, as I'm hearing all these things, one thing I gotta say is, and I love print, and I think it's just the best form of advertising in our society. And maybe I have a little bias. Obviously, I'm in the industry, but my family has been in it for 125 years, starting with my grandfather, who opened up the largest newsstand in New Haven, Connecticut, which he had for about 65 years. We've had multiple members of my family working in the industry. We've had other people start newspapers. I started one in 2010 myself. That went all the way to last year when I decided to switch to a magazine format. So I think print is great. It's here to stay, and it could be very beneficial for small business owners. So my question is, you know, as I've been thinking, it's like, what is the future of our business or our economy? What's going to be happening? And as I keep thinking that, I go, you know, I have no idea. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. And I think society is pretty confused on that. So as we're seeing things, the supply chain disruption, as we're seeing major companies looking for bailouts, Main Street is struggling. You know, where can print advertising come into play to sort of help the small business owner? And one of the things that is trust. There is not a better form of marketing or advertising that builds trust than print advertising. And, you know, something I got from, I forget where the quote was from, but basically, you know, consumers understand that in the internet, there's tons of fake advertising at best, and grossly misleading marketing campaigns at worst. So there's a lot to filter through online. And obviously, I think Bob had mentioned that, you know, online and print married together is the way to go. It's the best way to generate leads. But there's also a lot on there that we ourselves, we get a stupid pop-up as we're reading something. It's just annoying. But with print advertisements, whether in a magazine, a newspaper, direct mail, brochure, print advertisements, they don't include pop-up screens. You know, they don't promote unseemly products and services. It's straightforward printing method for promoting your services and products, and it builds credibility. And again, it's credibility that's a key, which is the first step towards establishing trust. And I'm really emphasizing this because we are going to want customers to take action. And in this climate where everybody is afraid to spend money, businesses are going under, people need to have that feeling that if they're going to do work with you, you're going to be in business, you're going to do it correctly and promote it at a fair price. You know, Market Sherpa, which did research on this, they asked the question, they said, in general, which line of advertising channels do you trust the most? And by far, print advertising came out #1 at 82%, followed behind that by TV ads. So we have the trust, and so great. People can trust us. Now, what I actually saw, and this is at a more of a macro picture, but there was the other day, Tyson Foods CEO took out a full-page ad in the New York Times. Basically, it was a letter that he wrote saying, you know, this is what's going on with our company. I want everybody to know that we are, you know, we're doing the best we can to keep things running smooth. Now, he didn't go online. He didn't do a press release through, you know, the TV. He went right for the newspaper because it was the most credible, trustworthy source to get his message out. So when you're looking at that, you know, what's the future going to hold? We don't know what the future is going to hold, but we do know that when you're in print advertising, you have the credibility, the trust that consumers are looking for, and the mailboxes are empty. So when you get that direct mail piece, or you get my magazine, there's no competition in there. And we're going to be in that house for a month while everybody's sitting there. And if you notice the correlation too with the billboards, I obviously look at this stuff because I'm in the business. Billboards are not selling. Why aren't they selling? Nobody's tried it. So we want to be where the consumers are, and the consumers are home. And so I believe that at this period of time, print is definitely going to be a way for us to grab that market, build those relationships, and you know, get us through this mess. And so that's kind of what I have to say. Thank you very much. I hope I wasn't too long, and thank you for the Midstate for inviting me. Oh, and then the last thing, I'm sorry, Wendy, I had the slide there just to show you. Wendy, if you go back to the slide, or Rosanne, or whoever's doing it. I just did a quick layout for our next magazine, and I just wanted to show that this is just an example of how you know, magazines or newspapers or what have you, we can create content that's going to be able to get in everybody's house. So if you want to get in 20,000 homes, you can do this, and quite frankly, right now, it's not going to get any more inexpensive than it is. So I just want to use this as an example of what you're going to see, I think, in a lot of publications in the future. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chris, and thank you, everyone. I think you know, all of us on the panel really want to make sure that all of the businesses are doing extremely well after this is over. I'm not going to start with my ending comments just yet because I do have a couple of questions that I gathered before the webinar began, but also if you have any questions through some of the discussions that have been on this webinar, if you want to put your questions into the question box, then I will ask the panelist, or you can raise your hand and I will unmute your mic so that you can ask your question if it's too detailed to try to type it out. So I think Chris LaTorraca, can't say your name, sorry. This one goes to you. And the question is, what's the best newspapers or print ads to use right now?
Well, I think what Wendy said actually was, what you said was on the money. I think that you're seeing a lot of print ads from hospitals, and I see them, you know, car dealerships where they're kind of going through that stale, you know, we're here for you, we're all in this together. And I think that's just running dry. I think that, you know, I think that's where the confusion is lying. And so as a small business, again, I say, what I've learned is, let me use an example, and that's how I could probably best explain it to you. I also do direct mail, but I'm not trying to compete against that. But I had one client that did a direct mail, and he has a studio, and he does lessons. And so he obviously is promoting his Zoom training or Zoom lessons. So he just simply, he went to the market and says, you know, this is the kind of business I'm looking for. And he put it in his direct mail. And he did the direct mail correctly with a call to action and pictures, etc. So I wouldn't, if I was a small business, I wouldn't waste money and time on sort of these branding type things, but talk about what you're looking for. You know, what is it that's the business that you want to get? And also look at what you want in the next couple of months, because we might be building that we're not going to get it back on track for a few months. I mean, I have no idea. So I would say as a small business, forget about the branding. Maybe Wendy's wrong. Maybe you can disagree on that, Wendy. But I think you need a call to action for specifically whatever products you want to, or services you want to promote.
Yeah, and I agree, and I also think though that starting with that plan, the marketing strategy plan, is the best approach. I think you know, it really depends on, again, where your company is and whether or not you have a call to action right now versus just letting people know that you're there to support them. All right, I have another question. I think this one goes to Bob. What's available through direct mail that's not just a canvassing of the neighborhood? Can you segment on income?
Yeah, I kind of pointed that out. Hopefully I didn't speak too quickly. You can't segment through every door direct mail on income, but you can certainly buy lists that segment based on income, age, number of children in the home, whatever you can come up with as a demographic point. You can draw that. You can get your data to match your demographic point. So a lot of my clients, I do a lot of work in the West Hartford area, so it's just a natural market for me. And you know, their income levels are a little bit higher, and so the targeting market is, you know, the higher end of those income levels. And we know what neighborhoods and, you know, what demographics we're looking for. So you can easily target by income.
Okay, great. And Chris Powell, I believe this one you can answer. So let's see how, okay. What would you, okay, I'll just say it the way it's written. How would you get started if you don't have any graphics that are appropriate right now?
All right, I'm guessing they mean graphics associated with our current situation. I'm guessing.
Hard to say, but.
Well, I mean, look, it's easy to start. I mean, not knowing what type of business or content they're talking about, you know, I'll use a restaurant as an example, because obviously it's really getting hit hard through some, you know, decent pictures of you is a great, or if you have nothing, maybe you're special, or I see a lot of like kit meals, like meals geared towards a family of 4. You know, just showcasing that. I'm seeing tons of pictures of these meal kits that different restaurants are doing, or the, you know, maybe they're making meals or lunches to give to some of these frontline workers. Again, I've seen tons of pictures of, you know, food being delivered to different emergency rooms and hospitals around the state. You know, luckily, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, we all carry around a phenomenal camera and video tool in our pocket with these mobile phones. Now I call it a double-edged sword because obviously if people are taking their own pictures, they think maybe they don't need professional photography. But it's something you can't ignore. We've got a very powerful tool right in our hands. And I get it. I work with a lot of clients that don't have the money to put towards it, or that, you know, photography's low on their list. But restaurants is, again, that perfect example, because I can't tell you how many times I've just seen such unappetizing pictures of a restaurant's product purely because they just, you know, they don't know what they're doing. And when I talk about bang for your buck, you know, having a professional photographer come into your business, even for half an hour or an hour, you can get a lot of shots done. And I work in a model where I come in, I get your pictures, I give the client all the high resolution pictures I get, and they almost work with a folder of pictures that push to different, whether print marketing or social media, so that they you know, time. In other words, I need to come in once a week to do pictures. I can get months of images for them that they can slowly push out. So sorry that was so long-winded, but hopefully that answers the question a bit. I mean, the best way to start is just to start. You know, think about what you're trying to focus on and get pictures of that.
All right, great, thank you. And this last one, I'll start the answer. I'll start to answer it, but then also if there's any of the panelists that have any additional thoughts in your particular field, go ahead and unmute and answer as well. So the question is, how do you know it was successful? I'm assuming it means the marketing strategies. So I'll just say that, you know, a lot of my clients literally ask their customers, how did you hear about us? And record that, whether they're putting that into CRM systems, which are client relation management platforms, or whether they're just putting it in a spreadsheet somewhere, or even if they're just, you know, tallying it up with the secretary, right? So I know they do a lot of that. In the digital world, obviously, there's a lot of data analytics that we can use and utilize and look at. I didn't get into a lot of the different ways that we could segment with digital because sometimes it's scary to talk to folks about that. But, you know, when you think of big data, certainly that's available. So you know, how do you know it's successful from a digital perspective? We have ways of tracking your digital ad from the place that it was seen all the way into where they started interacting with your site, to even calling you, recording the calls to make sure that it was a really good lead, and or recording that the user actually went all the way to your contact form and filled it out. So, you know, we have a lot of good ways to measure in that way, which also allows us to do a lot of optimization when we see that there are things that are not working, and be able to very specifically target and segment our users in that way. Is there anyone from the panel that wants to talk about the best ways to measure success from a marketing point of view in your world?
This is Chris. I don't know. Some of the businesses I work with actually do call tracking, so they have a special phone number assigned in their ad, and that's definitely one way that people have. So they're able to record the calls, how many calls, etc., kind of like they do in digital marketing.
Right.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, right. You're right.
So that's one way my clients in the print world can track things. But I find that that's one area where I think as consultants, we need to do a better, maybe not in your world, Wendy, but I don't know about with Bob or what have you. I find my clients do a very poor job overall of tracking where their business comes from. But I think that's also a result of me. How can I do a better job of helping them? You know, because I deal mostly, obviously, with very small businesses that don't have sophisticated tracking, and you know, so it can be very challenging.
So Wendy,
Yes.
This is Chris Powell. I have a somewhat quick answer to that. Obviously, you know, most of the content I create is online, and obviously, when you're talking about a Facebook page, Instagram page, a website, you know, just the interaction you're getting with your clientele, or the likes you're getting, or the reshares, is a very easy way just to see how engaged you are based on the number of people you're engaging. I will tell you, even with websites, yes, it's very important to have a website, and all my clients that I work with do have websites, but most of their interaction is on Facebook or Instagram. I mean, they have that website for the basic information, but a lot of their direct contact with their customers are through the social media platforms. pushing out the special day, pushing out a special event they're doing. That's where they're seeing a lot of that interaction, more so than driving business, to or through their website.
Right, very true. I mean, right now, social is just huge. To Chris LaTorraca, I'm gonna say it correctly before the end of the day, but
Yes, you will.
so I'll probably say it after this meeting. But
Of course.
everybody's sitting at home. Everybody has computers or their cell phones handy, and some people are really bored. And so what are they doing? They're going on to social and they're interacting and they're finding that time to have the social connection through a social platform rather than doing it face to face right now. So I totally agree with you, Chris Powell. All right. That is all the questions that I am seeing. If there's anyone else that has any other questions, you can still enter them into the question box and or raise your hand. And if there's anyone that asks a question while I'm doing the ending comments, that's fine. We'll get to the question and still be on the phone to answer. So with that, I'm sorry?
Wendy, it's Chris. Can I interject for a sec?
Yes, go ahead.
But is Bob still there, right? I had a question for him, if he could.
Bob, are you still there?
I think I'm here. Am I here?
Yes, there you go.
Well, all right.
Bob,
I was on mute. I hit the wrong one. So go ahead.
Okay, this is something I do, and I want to know if you can maybe even expound on this. You're familiar with the DAL, the DAL for the direct mail?
Yes.
How do you work with clients on that? And I use it with my magazine. Like I always have something go out with the magazine.
Right.
You have any more knowledge on it? Because I just found it to be very successful for small businesses, and just wanted to see if you had any more input on that.
Yeah, actually, I don't. Most of the direct mail I do. So I just want to jump in on some of this for the direct mail part of it. I do for larger corporations that control their own data capture. So I'm working with so just a quick aside on that. I've worked with a large cosmetic companies for a very, very long time, and what they do to capture that data. So it's harder with mail to collect data. They, every single piece of mail that goes out has a coupon code on it, and it's unique to the individual who receives it. So if I'm mailing out 50,000 pieces or even more pieces, there's a code on there that we're doing as a variable data code. So it's unique to that individual who receives it. They're driven to a website. They're always driven to a website, and then you type that code in, then you get your coupon. That's how they capture how well that particular direct mail piece has done. And much of the work that I do falls into that category. I don't do a lot of every door direct mail. I have in the past. Most of the direct mail I do is relatively sophisticated, and my customer has a way of capturing their own data, utilizing a coding system that's specific to the individual who receives the mail.
So you're not really dealing with the small guys like me. Okay.
Generally, I have a couple. I mean, I have. I've done jewelry stores. I had a jewelry store in Farmington. But, realistically, our business tends to fall into a larger demographic, So one of my clients is the University of Connecticut Foundation. Another of my clients is a L'Oreal product. So, that's kind of where I try to, we're very sophisticated in how they capture data.
Yep. Okay. So never mind. We're kind of on two different.
No problem.
You're the major leagues, and I'm in AA.
There you go.
All right. So very good. And before we close, Rosanne, I know you want to make a comment before we close.
Thanks. I just need a couple of shameless self-promotion things here. But first, I want to give another shout out to Bob Carr. Bob has been a longtime member of the Midstate Chamber, and he is also our print advisor for our magazine. Chris LaTorraca, you're speaking our language here, with the print still alive. We still at the Midstate Chamber do a printed member directory, but we changed to a magazine format a few years ago with Bob's assistance. We are very proud of the publication. It's our baby. We sell the ads, we do the layout and design, and Premier Printing is our printer for that. So that will be out in end of June for July 1 distribution. And so there's very affordable ads available there that we're doing a last minute push on. And also to the social media piece, I'm telling you, yes, we did our first Facebook Live yesterday with Rose Flowers and Gifts, another longtime member. It was a quick, 15-minute spot. But it's really, I'm really pleased with the results I'm seeing already. And we'll be doing more of those types of things too. So it's, this session was wonderful in terms of all of the information on the different platforms. And we really appreciate all of the experts that were with us today. And again, a big thank you to Wendy Austin, and keep your eyes out on the chamber site, www.midstatechamber.com. And we're here. Call us at 203-235-7901 if you need anything. And thanks again to everybody. Okay, Wendy, thanks.
All right, thank you, Roseanne. All right, so just to close, I think in terms of, coming back strong, we all are in the same boat in terms of we don't know what the new normal after we open up for COVID-19 is going to look like. But, a lot of the things that we did when we first started our business, we need to think about now in terms of promotion. So I know we are all here to help you try to come back strong, including the Chamber of Commerce. And I just, I think it's the whole purpose for this webinar series was to lean into the community, lean into all of us. And I'm sure, all of us on the panel, including Roseanne, will be more than willing to help you through trying to open back up and or to re-look at how to promote yourselves during this time. I did want to point out that our last webinar series for this Lean Into the Community webinars will be next Tuesday, and we're going to have the Workforce Alliance on to talk through rehiring back staff if you had to let go of a bunch of employees. So that will be a very good session to talk through the best places to get resources right now. I know there's some concern around being able to hire back quickly because everyone's going to be looking for resources. All right, so with that, I will let you go and have a good day. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.